What's up, everyone? Welcome to the podcast, the show dedicated to talking about all the poggers things in life, like music content creation and video games, especially music. I'm one of your co-hosts, JesseKazam.
And I am the, I guess, world's worst music critic.
I didn't go listen to I didn't go read a single comment, but I knew, like...
Now, so I did see a few comments, and I actually didn't see anybody that really super disagree. I'm sure there are people now. I saw early, but I think I probably saw more folks that were like, yeah, I don't really like the whole snare thing. So for context, I just realized that that everyone who's here live knows what just happened.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
People from the podcast. So there's a band, Sleep Token. They're like blown up. They're real popular. They just had a song that single from their upcoming album that everyone was waiting for like forever for. I talked about last week how I like reacted the day of the stream, shared some of my thoughts, some of my criticisms. I ended up also like tweeting some of my thoughts, and then right before the stream, I played it for Jesse. Jesse got to listen to it live,
like 38 seconds ago. So
yeah,
fresh.
So fresh, hot off the presses. What I will say, real quick, to piggyback off of what I had said last week, listening to the song more.
Oh yeah.
As is the case with like all music.
Yeah.
Actually, going to this is like kind of a meta thing, but the old Adam Neely repetition legitimizes. The more you listen to something, the more you get used to something.
Yes.
One of the initial things that I had a bunch of criticisms. None of it was like super harsh or super critical.
None of it is like this song sucks. It's just like, yeah.
I think I probably said something along the lines of like, I don't think it was great.
Mm-hmm.
My opinion has changed on, I want to say like 85% of my criticisms. Listening to it again, at first I had said like the mix seemed a little muddy compared to their other stuff. Basically, I went in like in my car and with my inner monitors and on Spotify rather than YouTube and stuff, and listen to it again compared to the other stuff.
Yeah.
And I will say it was pretty much on par. Listening to some of their old stuff, I actually realized like, and this is a taste thing, the mix of some of the stuff wasn't to my taste, but it like literally is purely subjective, whatever. I still am not. I'll have to wait till the whole album comes out to figure out if I think the lyrics are fucking terrible or not.
I was laughing along with the song because like normally with a Sleep Token especially, I'm listening to like the instrumentation and almost like the feeling of the melody first, and then I dive into like the lyrics of a lot of their songs. That kind of came secondary because they're obviously such talented musicians. But on the first listen, because you read those last week, I was chuckling a little bit while I was listening to it.
Now I will say that my major criticism and kind of the thing that like, admittedly, I and it's not like I went and made like a 3-hour video essay about like why the song is bad or whatever. Most of what you got was like my fairly, unfiltered sort of takes on different aspects of the song. But basically the snare on like 2 of the verses is offset a little bit, and I had some criticisms over it, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. I still think it was, and I can defend at least my reasoning for why I thought it was, and still do think it's like a really bad creative decision, despite the fact that a lot of people either don't notice it or don't care or like it.
I know it's one of those things where it's like it's impossible. I guess what I'm trying to say is not you, but like the audience would just have to trust me. when listening to the song, I 100% would have noticed it. 100%. Because one of my favorite things to do in the car when I'm driving is try to drum along twos. Like, I love, what's the song? Is it Granite? The one at the end that has the real, like, each bar has hits at different times. And like, I remember when I like figured that out and I could like do that in the car along with it, I like felt really good. So I would have immediately noticed it, but I will say I probably would have noticed it. It would have taken me a few listens to count it out to realize it was 2E, which is such a weird thing, as opposed to 2E Anna. And I probably wouldn't have, like, I don't think it would have distracted me from the song, especially since in the second verse, he like you said, he's hitting the kick on the 2 and then the snare on the E. So it grounds it a little bit more. And the second verse is when the guitar comes in and is basically hitting. I don't know if he's hitting on the kick or on that snare, but he's linking up with the drums a little bit, so it feels more grounded. But that first verse, it definitely, like, it's hard to bob your head to it if that first verse or whatever, if you're bobbing your head to like the drums as opposed to just like the song. You're just like vibing to the song. But if you're like I was doing this, and a couple of times I like it took me, I got off. Yeah
So I have a slightly more in-depth thing I want to say about the drums. So I don't know if maybe we want to save the drums for after your just like initial impression of the whole song.
The song I thought overall was great. I listening to it routed through your audio coming back at me, so I know that it's not, like I basically can't comment on like the mix.
The fidelity.
Yeah, I can't comment on the mix, but the flow of the song felt great. It felt like Sleep Token in that there were like 3 genres in the song, right? You had like ballad piano, you had like weird time signature breakdown, and then you had sexy sax man solo at the end, which felt great. The melody I really liked. The lyrics, once again, I could only like remember that verse you went through, and I would have to listen to it a couple more times and read through it to like really pull out the rest of the lyrics. But overall, I thought it was great. I thought it was like a lot of it I felt like, and once again, the mix aside because of how we were listening to it, but like I feel like if you had said, hey, bonus track from Take Me to Eden, I would have been like, oh really? Like it felt like in line with what I expect out of them. A little bit of like I don't know, I think I had never heard that term before, repetition legitimizes, but like that makes so much sense because we talked last week a lot about how like expectations are just crazy. Like if you had said, here's the difference, like the vibe of the song was whatever. If you had said bonus track on Take Me Back to Eden, I would have been like, oh, if you say single off the new album, some things in my brain change in the sense that like, was the sax solo there just because the summoning got really popular and that had like a really long weird outro? Like, are they just like doing that again because, and in my brain, those are different. If you're like, oh, bonus track of Take Me Back to Eden, I would have been like, oh, they just love doing weird stuff at the end of songs. But whenever album blows up, I mean, they've made music before, right? They're not new on the scene, but Take Me Back to Eden went sicko mode. So now they're in the cultural zeitgeist a lot more. Now I do that stuff where I do the same thing you do, where it's like, oh, he doesn't really double kick like that normally. Is he doing that because he thinks or whatever? But then I'm feeding into this thing where like, maybe it's just as deep as he wanted. He doesn't normally do that. So he wanted to do it on this song, and it was his artistic vision, and it wasn't some pandering to like, but I feel you in the like how my brain does that. And for me, it's because it's like, whenever there's a new album after a really popular one, I'm always like, okay, are they going to go with the flow? Are they going to change it up? Are they going to whatever? And with Sleep Token, with those guys, they're so like out there as like performers and people. You're like, I have no idea what they're doing, which is why I'm more interested to give like an opinion after the album is out, because like as a piece of art, you know, this is just like one slot in the art that will be whatever the album is, and my opinions of it could change positive or negatively based on the surrounding art as well. But I thought it was great.
Yeah. So, and one of the things I'd mentioned too, that like you kind of touched on this a little bit. I don't know if it was right before the cast or right after it started, but the drummer, he never plays the same thing twice.
Yeah.
And he's always, you know, hitting all these like all over the place, right? These little fills.
Yeah.
And every time he's like all over the place. Whenever there's a little chance, he always does some stuff that I'm like, ooh. And for context, for those who don't know, now I'm not like, this is me doing the Witsit. I'm not trying to brag. But,
I've got a 170 IQ.
yeah, but I'm gonna basically brag for the no. But I played drums from age 9 to 15, and I took drum lessons with one of the most like prolific, famous jazz fusion drummers in the world. Like he was the drummer for Alan Holdsworth, which if anyone knows Alan Holdsworth, he like is the god of jazz fusion, which is every single chord he played you've never heard before.
You
have no idea what any of the notes are. You have no idea what scale he's playing in, and the drummer's going, you know, like it's just wild. So like I was doing polyrhythm syncopation between 3 limbs when I was 11. Okay.
Yeah.
Now that's not like this amazing, incredible thing, because anybody who's played drums for 2, 3, 4 years could do the things I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But it's just to give the context that like the way that a lot of people were responding to my criticism was like, oh, see, that's like a thing in music that people do, and it's like, oh my god, like fucking like you know, I don't know, like how else do you be like, I know about this, you know, like so super quick, I actually have like a few different little things I built in Logic that show kind of the evolution of like basic to slight shifts to what he has. Now before I show that, I want to show, this was somebody sent me a TikTok from a guy, Glenn Joseph Robinson. I guess he's a vocal coach. I've never seen any of his content. I'm sure he makes great content and everything. But they basically were like, here's an explanation, like, so that you know, you understand what you're feeling and why you're confused about the drums.
Interesting.
And actually, so let me just do this real quick here. Oh, that I should probably plug in my my laptop here. All right, so let's see. There we go.
Okay.
There is a bit of a polyrhythmic thing going on here, which means that if you're not musically inclined, this could be a bit confusing. But I promise you, if you count in 4, it will all make sense.
Okay, so just already, first of all, like he's like, there's this polyrhythmic thing going on. So if you're not musically inclined, if you count in 4, it'll make sense. If you're not musically inclined, saying count in 4 is a meaningless statement. Already, it's like, bro, you got to know your audience, man. You know, you can't say like, you know, these are the up quarks and the down quarks and the spin of the, you know, molecular whatever. But if you don't know quantum mechanics, don't worry. We'll just do the fucking undulatory calculatory whatever, and you'll be fine. It's like, okay. Now, so then there's that, but then there's also, he says there's a polyrhythmic thing he's doing here. There's no polyrhythm. There's just not a thing. It's not what's happening here. There's no polyrhythm. He's using big, complicated words and concepts that don't apply, and I'll explain why in a bit, but I'll just play a little bit more of this.
So the use of the snare drum here, the drummer is not playing the snare exactly in the box of 4 that it should be in order to sound orally pleasing like normal pop music. It's very music school, this, and
Very music school. Keep that in mind. Keep in mind how music school this is.
it's very clever. By using this syncopation on the snare drum, the drummer is creating a sense of imbalance in the song. It's making it a bit nervous, a little bit disjointed. But I promise if you stop listening to the snare drum and just count in 4, it will make a lot more sense. It's actually a really clever technique to create that kind of rhythmic dissonance to
Okay, so
Veritas is like having an aneurysm listening to that.
yeah, like
Ugh.
so it's like one of those things, like I bet you if the drummer, like too, if he heard that, he'd be like, because it's the least clever, least complicated thing he has played in the last decade.
Yeah.
Right. And just to show real quick, like what we're talking about here. So I'm gonna pull this up.
Oh, I haven't seen this in so long. Holy.
This is I have the melody, okay? With the hi-hats.
Yep.
So that's the hi-hats on the 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So now I'm gonna add in a normal kick and snare that would just be like super basic bitch.
Gotcha. Okay. Yep.
That's on the,
Yep.
on the 1 and the 3.
Yep.
Now the first kind of modification he makes to that, right, is he delays the kick by a quarter note there. So you can see the difference between this and this.
Yeah.
So
Yep. Yep.
and then here's a little ghost note at the end he adds.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And then, so here's actually, I think, the best part of what he does, which is, I'm not even going to explain why or any of the details, but basically it's offbeat pattern on the hi-hats that kind of drags away from being on the beat, and it's on the offbeat. So rather, it's not like it's this.
Yeah.
Now that
yeah.
is all well and good. That's all fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to now play what he does here, where he then delays the snare hit. Oh, let's see. 1 sec. Sorry, it's just barely off. He delays the snare. Of course you do this to me. I'm trying to zoom my stuff in here. So it's literally just delaying the snare like a 16th note.
Yep. Oh.
Sorry.
So he delays the snare. Looking at it visually, the snare being offbeat ends up syncing up with one of the hats.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Now,
already
did you ever play
offbeat. Yeah, I did play the drums.
Did you already play the drums? Like this? Okay, actually, I'll get to my point afterwards.
Yeah.
So here's what it sounds like.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh.
Now, okay.
I didn't realize the hat was being so weird as well.
Yeah. So the reason, okay, so that's one of those things. I have played every time signature you can think of. I've played all kinds of complicated polyrhythms. So right there, that is not a polyrhythm.
Mm-hmm.
A polyrhythm is when you play, when you talk about like counting in 4, you're breaking up a series, like literally drums.
Yeah.
All drums and rhythm it's just like fractions. Okay.
Yeah.
That's why it's quarter note, half note, eighth note,
16th
16th note.
note. Yep. So
So what the fuck was I going to
So
say?
polyrhythm. What is a polyrhythm?
Polyrhythm. So you can divide a segment of time in a song
Yeah.
equally spaced. So if you were to do 4, right, it'd be 1 and 2, 3,
Yeah.
4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right. So you can also you can split that same section into 3,
Yeah.
into 5, into 6, into 7,
Oh,
into 9.
so is a polyrhythm like the 3/4 stuff?
It's polyrhythm.
Where
It's
like the
more than
hat's
one
doing
rhythm.
triplets and
So-
everything else is in 4, and like after, because triplets, it's like eventually get to a number divisible by 4, so it makes sense to do the triplets
Yeah.
over 4. Yeah.
So like if you're going like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1.
Dude, I know. yeah. That's a polyrhythm. Yeah.
That's a 5/4 polyrhythm.
Yeah.
That is, you are dividing things differently, right?
Yes.
What he was doing there was not. It's not really a polyrhythm.
Correct, because he's not like consistently using the snare to divide the time by a different number. He's just pushing one snare off by 1/16th note.
Yeah.
Or 8th note.
8th note.
8th note.
Did I say 16th note?
Yeah, but I
Yeah,
knew what you meant when you said it, and then I just said it. Yeah, by an 8th note. Yeah.
I think my tempo, might have been like twice as fast as the project, whatever. But yeah, so like when you're counting the whole, we'll count 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a the 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a
yeah.
So it's really not complicated at all. It's neat.
Yeah.
Rhythmically, it's a little different. It's a little spicy, but
yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Someone in chat was just talking about how 5/4 just means 5 beat per measure. That's a time signature. That's totally different than a polyrhythm.
Yeah.
Time signatures are not the same as polyrhythms, but all the comments on that, on like my tweet, all the comments on that TikTok were all basically saying how difficult and how clever and how it is. And this all goes to like my like
I know.
Part of what frustrates me is that when like if I feel something is a very solid 8 out of 10 and everyone says it's the greatest thing of all time.
Yeah.
It's like it's annoying.
Yeah.
In a way that like maybe I'm just a piece of shit. I don't know, right?
No,
but like
I think everybody has their thing where this, whatever you would call this, applies. Yeah. Where it's like,
just like call it what it is.
Exactly. Yeah.
Don't say it's something it isn't. What we're talking about is ultimately subjective, but just don't say it's rocket science when it's actually like a really simple thing. Now, so what I will say is, as a drummer, I've played all kinds of crazy things, all kinds of complex things. All the comments are all talking about, oh, well, if you don't get it, just listen to Tool. Oh, what if you don't get it? Just listen to whatever. I mean, everybody was on.
Dude, yeah.
And
Schism.
Now the thing is, and a lot of people were saying, oh, they do this in other songs, so like it shouldn't bother you. Just go listen to this song and go listen to this song. There's not a single Sleep Token song that has that in here. And it's very distinct. I could have done a 1 or 2 hour video on this. It's very distinctly different what he did here
for sure,
and what he's done in everything. This isn't just offbeat. It's not just syncopation. It's significantly different.
Yeah.
Even though it's a tiny thing, it's meaningfully different in a way that I think
for sure
I can explain. But so we've played complex things on the drums. You can play things off time, odd time signatures, polyrhythms, and they can be super like you can listen to Meshuggah and I can listen to all kinds of math rock, and it can be crazy time signatures, and yet you can groove.
Yeah.
And when you're playing the drums, when you lock in, it feels good. I sat down on my drum set and I was playing along with the drums. I could play it. It's trivial. It's easy to play. And it felt bad.
Yeah, it feels wrong. Yeah.
When you're like doing off beats and all of a sudden you have one that's like, together with the hi-hats that are off. It actually feels like it almost feels simpler and easier in a way that makes it worse. It's really hard to describe. But what I will describe this, and the reason why it bothers me so much, is it falls into a musical uncanny valley. Okay. You know, like when you see robot faces that are like
just too different,
just too human, but not quite there. You know, or when you look at like, if you listen to a lot of hip hop or music inspired by a certain genre in a certain time period, if you Google J Dilla, the J Dilla beat, literally what that does is it explicitly makes things out of time. Decoupled sloppily. You know, like literally, you know how you can quantize everything and all the kicks and the snare, it are all snapped together. Okay. Jay Dilla is a drummer, one of the drummers that like made this style of drums kind of a drunken sort of really laid back thing where it's like like the hats are off, everything's off, and by all accounts it's literally the rhythmic equivalent of your guitar being out of tune.
Interesting.
But if you do it well, it grooves way more because it's way more natural and organic, right? That's when you can take something perfectly quantized and it can feel fine. It'll feel like proper. Might feel robotic, might feel too perfect, like artificial. But I mean, most like metal and stuff is like perfectly quantized, perfectly timed, you know, whatever. You can go off the spectrum of from that a little bit off, and you would think that would be like, because when you tune things a little bit off, it's like
it feels very bad.
It's painful. But like, let me see if I can get here. This is a straight beat. So that right there, by all accounts, he's playing everything off.
But if you didn't have the metronome, it would feel groovy. Exactly.
And one of the really good songs, I'll have to find it, that is like, here it is. This is like the drummer's doing this where he's playing things off and it's just grooves like you can never believe. That's not the song. Son of a bitch. Oh, I'm gonna find it. That was like, that's some fucking I hate everything. I hate everything so much.
Dude, it was just so perfect. You like starting it and then skipping ahead and then skipping ahead and then skipping ahead and then just immediately being like, that's not the song.
Everything there is off. Wow. So when people are like, oh, you know, when the snare's a little off, it's just like, yeah, I know. Like, now on the total extreme level, when you listen to math rock, that is, things are usually on beat, quantized. And for those wondering, the song was Snarky Puppy, the band, and the song is called Binky.
Binky?
So a lot of the really math rock metal stuff is all in crazy time signatures. It's usually very tight, very quantized, very like every hit of all of this stuff it's perfectly on the grid. It just might be shifted over in different places. But you can listen to that, and that can be all kinds of crazy, unpredictable, and yet groove and feel good, right? The thing that's different about this song compared to all of that stuff is that 99% of the song
Yes.
is perfectly quantized, perfectly. There's not this, and I'll get to why it's a specific kind of syncopation.
Yeah.
There's nothing unexpected, nothing weird.
Yeah.
If you want like a sense of unease, very often it gets described rhythmically too, like with that J Dilla beat, like an egg rolling.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
And see, the thing is, repetition legitimizes the idea that it goes,
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then you can groove, but if it goes,
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
like, and the problem is that it's like 8 snare notes.
Yeah, throughout the
fucking
whole song. Yeah.
With a bar of like everything's in time, everything's on the downbeat. You have the melody too.
Yep.
The melody being the what is it? And it's like,
yeah,
all the things together.
Yeah.
Together, off, together, off, and then the rest of the song is completely tight. So to me, it's a weird artistic choice where it's like, make it feel off in a meaningful way. Don't make it feel off in the smallest possible way you could, while everything else is perfectly on, including the rhythm of the vocals. Normally what happens is you have the constant percussion. And usually syncopation and changes with the vocals on top, and that they serve different purposes.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
no, 100%. And it's an interesting point you bring up about how many different ways you can be off, but in a way that feels, because music is obviously a lot about like feeling something. And that feels right. You know what I mean? Like you could listen to like 7/8, Animals as leaders in 7/8, and the guitarist and the drummers are all doing different stuff, but you can just like really groove to it. Or I never heard the J Dilla stuff, but that Snarky Puppy song, like I could totally hear what you're saying. It feels good. So there's something to be said about like almost, how this almost felt like specifically to avoid that. Like it was so inconsistent that it like you couldn't get used to it. Like you said, it was almost like anti-repetition legitimizes. You're gonna hear it just enough times to be like, was that a mistake? And no more for you to figure it out and groove to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you hear it and it's good, and like you hear the first like 4 bars of that verse.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, I'm getting a and then the second time through, it's like I watched my VOD over again, and I was like, I like looked up and was like, I literally did my whole mouse over the YouTube thing because I thought it would be buffering.
Yeah.
And then I was like, what was that weird rhythm? And then
it happens again.
It alternates. No, it alternates because it goes on, off. So it's on.
Yeah.
And I'm pumped. It's off, and it's weird. And then I'm like, wait, was there something weird? I listened to it and it's on, and I'm like, oh, it must have just been YouTube. And it's off, and I'm like, oh, what the fuck? And then it goes to something else.
Yeah.
And it's like,
and you know what? I feel like part of it too is like because the kick and the snare are often like the anchors. The kick and the snare are the anchor of the percussion. If the snare had been on time and like he had hit like a tom or a cymbal on the end, it probably would have felt completely different. But you're whether you know it or not, when you listen to music, your heart is like waiting for those kicks and those snares. They are the engine of the song. And so to mess with that is what makes it like feel, as opposed to hitting a hat or a tom there, would have felt completely different. So yeah.
One of my favorite songs, I think is it Dreams by Fleetwood Mac? I think, but it does that whole thing where it goes, like normally you have the crash, the cymbal on the like one, that song does the
so it does it
one, two, and it's like, that's conceptually, it's just like offbeat, right?
It's like a subversion still, but in a way that feels good.
It feels good. And here's the thing. People say that the intended, now, first of all, they might be right, but if they're right, they have to admit they're guessing.
Yeah.
Because none of us know until he does an interview and speak, which he doesn't do.
Yeah, of course. No one will know why he's doing it.
No one will know why he's doing it. But I would argue, and I actually tweeted at Adam Neely, who is a bassist, like one of the most popular bassists on YouTube. He does a ton. You should watch his video on how to make music that sounds like drunk, because it talks about Jay Dilla. It has
That's cool.
A whole bunch of stuff in it, and it talks about the important musical psychology behind the things you expect, how to make things feel good, how to make things off, how to break expectations. And this whole idea, a lot of people were basically defending that, like, they wanted you to feel uneasy. They wanted you to feel unexpected and like off.
Yeah.
And, so like it's their creative decision. And it's like, it's what makes it so great. Like, that they're breaking expectations, as if this is the first time any song has ever broken expectations.
Yeah.
But you have to recognize that in and of itself is not fundamentally, like, objectively a good thing, no matter what, all the time.
Yeah.
And one of the examples I gave, I was like, yo, chat, listen to this song. And I was playing the song, I was playing really loud, and then turned it down and played the song. Were you expecting it? What if I wanted to startle you in my song? What if I wanted to catch you off guard and blow your fucking eardrums out because I wanted a sense of unease and I wanted you to feel like, you were being attacked by you'd be like, it's just fucking annoying. Right? Like, and listen, if someone might be like, I fucking love that I shit my pants every time I listen to this song because it just jump scares me randomly every time. Imagine procedural music that was different.
Yeah.
Every time you listen to it, and it was just randomly get really quiet, and then so then I get really loud, and then all of a sudden, like,
yeah.
So I would just argue that, like, I understand this is subjective.
Yeah.
But there is something to be said about certain artistic choices to achieve a goal. And I think now it's hard. It's hard to say this because people will. There is kind of like, and I love Sleep Token. They're one of my favorite new bands now, but they're kind of like Tool in a way, which is they're a fantastic band that makes great music, and yet there's a fucking cult. It's a cult, right? It's just people act like a cult.
Yeah. I think, like, tell me if this is right, because I think I'm going to say what you're going to say. It's not at all that you have a problem with somebody being like, I love this song.
Nope.
I think your problem is, like, we talk a lot about how, like, we've done, like, Tarkov or whatever, like, there's one side of the coin is this, like, change is bad because it's change. And just like an immediate, like, the answer precedes the question. Yeah. And the other side of that coin is like a cult of, like, not dissatisfaction, but satisfaction. And the answer precedes the question of this is good because it's Sleep Token, not is this new Sleep Token good?
Yeah.
And your frustration is with it's good because it's Sleep Token. And he probably had, like, a quantum string theory in mind, and you're not listening to it in enough dimensions to hear his vision. And you're like, have you just ever sat alone in a room and asked yourself if you enjoyed something? Like, you know what I mean? Like, so I think that's how I interpret it. It's like, if you had a conversation with somebody, even if they weren't a musician, and they were just like, and you could tell that they were like, no, I love that part. It just feels weird. And I don't know, I just like it. You'd be like, sick, man. I'm glad you appreciate that. Yeah. But the response of it's good because it's them, not it's new Sleep Token, is this good? That's kind of my interpretation. And I agree, right? It's like, it's not helpful. You should listen to it for yourself and just kind of, what does it make you feel? If it makes you feel good, then that's freaking hell yeah. Like, you know what I mean? I don't listen to Gwar. That doesn't make me feel good, but it makes other people feel good. And so hell yeah, dude. You know what I mean?
And see, like, in that part of the song is the grooviest.
It is the grooviest.
It's the grooviest.
It does,
right?
Yeah.
And so it's the equivalent. That moment is the equivalent of doing a fadeaway punch. It's like it loses all of its, like,
yeah.
And I want to punch in the face at that moment in time, right?
yeah.
Especially
punch me in the face with the snare.
especially because it has like the it's like a digital like clap on top of the snare on top of like, you know, whatever. So when it's like off the beat while also being decoupled from his rhythmic that is so you know what it's like. I don't know.
If the
I
melody
think
had done it with it, it probably would have hit harder. You know what I mean?
There's
if
a
he
lot of
took like a
things-
breath there and then hit the word on the and, like it would have been like this, almost like a suck the air out of the room for that eighth note. You know what I mean? But
they could have made that. They could have made it so that it was in like 7/4.
yeah,
Or like 9/8 or something, and it would have felt like it could have been groovy, hit hard, and been off kilter and like, whoa, what's going on? And I, interestingly enough, I showed this on stream. I'm not going to waste any time with it now, but I have 2 songs that I used what I learned actually from Adam Neely 5 years ago or whatever to do the opposite effect, to deal with like that musical psychology. 2 of my synthwave songs, one of them's in 9/8 and one of them's in 7/8.
Whoa, which one's in 9/8?
1988, my
No
most popular
way.
song, because and I did the opposite, which was repetition legitimizes.
Yeah,
which is it goes. But because 9, you can't divide 9 evenly, right?
yeah,
So what ends up happening is the kick is on the downbeat, and then it's on the upbeat for the beginning, and then eventually it comes around. So it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3. But because the kick is consistent.
yeah.
That's and 1987 is in 7/8. The 19, you know, the years are kind of little plays on that, but
what?
so it's in 7/8, but you wouldn't know. It's got a vibe that people are like, I don't know what it is, I just really like it, and yet it still feels good, but it still feels different. So you can like have your cake and eat it too, I guess is my point.
Yeah.
And I was so into the groove.
Yeah.
And for me, that part is just one of those things that's like, it's a creative choice that kills the groove to me.
Yeah.
And seems a little like he could have done better. He's a musical, genius.
Yeah. He's exactly. He's obviously insane enough that it was a choice. Like it's not, we're not like, oh, he didn't know, he knew, but it's just, oh man. Yeah, I feel you.
Anyway, so the song is definitely growing on me. I doubt I'm going to change my mind about this.
The snare, yeah.
Because for me, it's, again, this whole thing is a subjective thing, but I have certain preferences and kind of underlying sort of beliefs about like music and like the psychology of music.
Yeah.
So like in that context, to me, it was an objective mistake. But my preference, that's within my subjective preference.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
In the same way that if you want a family car in the Dodge Grand Caravan is the best one for you, I'm not going to say, well, I like the Porsche 911, man.
Yeah.
Because it's like, we're not talking about our preferences here. In this case, I'm talking about minivans, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that's that. I'll leave that be.
I love it, dude. It's so, it's been so long since we've said that the intro to this podcast is like music, content creation, and video games, and we really haven't talked about music much. I love it. Like a
ton of the comments were like, I want to hear more music stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe this was a little too much, but I had to.
The impetus for this was kind of a sour note.
I had to redeem myself from last week because I was definitely a little more sour on the song than I think the song warranted. But that's just because everybody was telling me 2 + 2 = 5 and they're genius for this new math. And I'm like, listen, fucking Terrence Howard. Like,
holy. Well, I freaking Yeah, I love the conversation. I'm excited to hear the album for sure. For sure. I was out. Hold on, let me pull up the album because I don't remember what song it was. But I was out. We were like walking with the family, and we're walking on the sidewalk, and a car pulls up, and their windows were closed, but the music was so loud. I heard the piano at the beginning of Ascensionism, and I was like, and I almost wanted to go knock and be like, nice, just because it's so random to hear like not like the summoning or chokehold. It was like, well, and I love that song, so I was like, I recognized the piano and riff immediately, and I was like, you just want to almost bond over that. It's like, yes, great song, great band.
Hell yeah. That's awesome, dude.
But I didn't. If their windows were open, maybe, but the closed windows, they were vibing. If it's loud enough for me to hear the piano riff with the closed windows, they're in their moment, and I don't want to ruin that moment for them. You know what I mean?
True.
Yep.
They're hitting the bong in there with the windows down.
All right. Well, before we move on, before we move on, I do want to take a quick second and thank the sponsor for tonight's episode, and that is MeUndies. MeUndies is the most gosh darn comfortable pair of underwear I've ever worn in my entire life. I have space ones now. I don't have my space ones on. I just got the basic.
Guess who's got their space ones on?
Yes. Yes. So, but man, they are incredible. They've got their underwear is insane. It's insanely comfortable. It's the perfect amount of like breathable and thick, soft but structured. They feel amazing. They're super comfortable. I was like a garden variety Walmart underwear guy my whole life, and these are gonna last 10 times as long. They're 10 times as comfortable. And yeah, genuinely, like I didn't, until I was 33 years old, I didn't realize that like the underwear game could be this high. Yeah. Yeah,
I mean, I absolutely love every single. I have like probably 60 pairs of MeUndies now. I've been rocking MeUndies for 5 or 6 years now. And just like you said, the quality is fantastic. The designs, I love. Sometimes I'm feeling, something a little simpler, a little more downplayed, solid black, solid blue, solid gray, whatever. But I love all their prints. The designs are fantastic.
Yeah.
And yeah, my wife's always wants to know what I'm rocking, whether I got the little aliens or I've got some old ones from back in the day that have like lightsabers on them that were Star Wars licensed.
Oh, yeah.
And they do so many cool prints. A lot of times they do deals with really cool brands. And like you said, the quality is fantastic. It's comfortable. They'll last you forever. And I mean, like what more can you ask for?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Like,
they have everything. They've got like boxers, briefs. They even have their trademarked ball caddy, ultra soft internal ball caddy pouch that provides lift and separation to avoid uncomfortable chafing.
Wish I could show you guys, but
they've got that. And then they have like, in addition to just underwear, they have all sorts of other apparel now made at that same quality as their insanely comfortable underwear. You can get like lounge pants, you can get sweatpants, you can get shirts, you can get onesies, you can get hoodies, you can get socks. Like they have all sorts of stuff in addition to that, and it's all just insanely comfortable. Like you said, style for everyone. They have an insane amount of styles, sizes from extra small all the way up to 4XL. Versatile loungewear, responsibly sourced. They use sustainably sourced materials and work with partners that care for their workers. And if you're not happy with your first pair of MeUndies, it's on them. So good things come in big packages at MeUndies. You can get 20% off your first order plus free shipping on orders of $75 or more at MeUndies.com/Pogcast and enter promo code Pogcast. That is MeUndies.com/Pogcast, code Pogcast for 20% off. MeUndies, comfort from the outside in.
On my ball caddy.
All right, so Sleep Token song. Last week you were just kind of diving into Disco Elysium and
I finished it.
Telling me about how it's really about communism versus capitalism, and I thought it was like an RPG with like robots and stuff. So
Yeah. I
thought it was like Beat Saber or something.
Yeah, and you know what? Interestingly enough, I was kind of, I think, totally wrong about that, and everybody who describes it, I think, was also totally wrong.
You think that they were wrong?
That it's like a game about communism.
Getting through the end, you kind of was like, oh no, what I thought was wrong, or you got to the end and then you like walk me through that. Was it just the way the story ended where you're like, oh, it wasn't even about that?
No, the way it. The more you play through it, the more you start to see the overall narrative. There's some things I don't want to spoil. I'm gonna spoil like minor specific details here and there. Nothing like major story wise. Okay. Nothing whatever. But it's not a. Disco Elysium isn't a game about communism any more than like Skyrim is a game about medieval Nordic socio-political history.
Okay.
It takes place in that environment. It's not about that.
Set in an environment where those themes are at conflict with each other in the characters' stories. It's not like there to say our game is about how communism is better or whatever.
Yeah, no, I mean, like the way it was described, it was as if like what I thought it was going to be a game that was like a political commentary on why communism is like the greatest thing.
Gotcha.
And
it's not that.
It's a game of, well, okay, so let me put it to you this way. About, I want to say, a third of the way through my playthrough, okay, I got an achievement for being the world's most laughable centrist.
That's why your stream title was that the other day. I was like, oh.
So typically what you would see at any given point, right? You'd be talking to someone and you'd be given like 5 dialogue options. And it was usually like completely unhinged, like, yeah, whatever, man, I want to do some fucking drugs.
Yeah.
You know, fuck you, punch you in the face, like
yeah,
weird, quirky, whatever. Another one was like, I'm a goddamn cop, respect my authority. Which is like, you can think about it as there's all these different almost like archetypes.
Yeah.
There's like archetypes on archetypes on archetypes in this game. But there's literally like a counter at some point in the game. You get a counter that says fascism, communism, humanism, and there's another one, maybe capitalism. I forget.
Okay.
And like when you answer things, there's like little categories where it kind of tallies it up. And then after a while, like at some point, if you answer enough things that are like communism adjacent, which is like when someone says something along the lines of like, you know, these workers are on strike, you know, we got to go shut them down. And you're like, but like the workers deserve to fucking get, you know, they deserve to fight for what they think that is fair for wages. It's like communism, right? You're not being like, well, actually, Karl Marx has, you know, it's like, it's fairly high level. And for the most part, the entire game, every single worldview is getting mocked and they're represented in their extremes.
Yeah.
In a way that's actually perfect.
Really?
Because it doesn't matter, actually. You could be like a fascist racist and you would enjoy the game because like you can role play as a racist fascist.
Jesus Christ.
And actually that kind of stuck with me at the beginning because at one point there's like this 9-foot tall guy who's like this huge dude who's literally a racial supremacist, like literally like advocating for genociding all the whatever, like
Jesus.
And like you need to convince him to like press a button so that you can get into a doorway. And I was like, all right, tell me all about like you know, advanced race theory. So I like sat through that whole thing. And then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go with what he's saying so that he thinks I'm a racist, so that he, you know, like. And then for the rest of the game, different characters are making commentary like, yeah, I heard about that shit you said, bro. Like, I heard that you're you're not a very nice guy. And you're like, I'm not racist. Like, the whole time I'm like fighting against that because like I use that strategy to do whatever. But the game it's not about politics. It's a game about how do I summarize this? It's a game about the misery of living and the beauty of living simultaneously.
Yeah. Okay.
And you'll do everything from stick a gun in your mouth to pulling the trigger with the gun in your mouth to pointing the gun at a child.
Jeez.
Pulling the trigger at the child, like to doing drugs, to climbing in a dumpster, to like everything. Like it's one of those games that there's so much to it.
Wow.
I can't get into anything without spoiling it. There's not enough time. I mean, I just watched one of my content creator homies, Jeffy it.
I need to watch
one of my favorite YouTubers. You should watch his video on Disco Elysium.
Yeah.
It's 5 hours long.
Holy.
And I will say it's so funny because he came out with that whole trumpet, the skeleton trumpet thing, which made me cry. Okay, that video made me cry. And his content became a big inspiration for my last few long form videos. And then watching him make this video, it was like I was seeing so much of like he was speaking my language. Yeah, I'll say.
Oh, it's his most recent video too. I don't want to be this kind of animal anymore.
I left a comment on his video that kind of sums it up. I said, making a video like this takes 10,000 little decisions. Decisions that come down to the choice between maximizing the video's performance in the algorithm and what's right to effectively communicate your message to the people who are capable of fully appreciating it. I know how painful every one of those decisions can be, choosing between two opposing forms of success. You made 10,000 correct decisions. This was another masterpiece, my friend. Thank you.
Dang.
And one of the things that blew my mind is, and I was sending him a few screenshots of like some things that he did. He did this thing where like his head exploded, like brain exploded, kind of. And I frame by framed it, and he like actually, it was like he could have took like an egg exploding, but he like cut out the top of his head so that it like blew up and like separated. And I was like, mwah. Nobody in the world frame by frame that other than me. Like nobody did. And I was like, I just want you to know.
Oh, that's
because I'm sure he was like, why am I doing this? Why am I like, no one's gonna notice, right? I'm like, I just want you to know I see you. And then halfway through the video, he was talking about he gets really personal. He talks about like one of his friends in real life and a murder and like and he spends a bunch of time in the middle of a video. I'd be like worrying about retention and all this stuff, and he's just like, this is the right thing to do. And I'm like, thank you. So I have an 8-hour flat earth video, right? And he has a 5-hour video on this. And then halfway through the video, it was like he was talking about like inspirations, and he had a little list on screen, and my fucking name was there. I was like, no way, dude. What the fuck?
Oh yeah.
It was just like so heartwarming.
That's sick.
Now I will say the game was a 9 out of 10. Absolutely fantastic. One of my favorite games of all time. I got to the end. Okay. And there was a thing that happened that was like, I'll PayPal you $1 million if you saw this coming.
Oh,
it's just a thing that
was it the like, video game version of that snare?
No, it was the video. If that snare was turkey sandwich in the middle of the Sleep Token song, you'd be like, what is that sandwich chewing here in the middle of this song? Now, I didn't have the appropriate skill because this game effectively, it's an RPG, right? So it's got like the D&D kind of dice rolling mechanics. I had a 3% chance of success. I didn't save scum really playing this game much, because failing is hilarious.
Yeah.
And it changes the story in a meaningful way. This was something I didn't want to fail. I loaded and did it again. Now the problem is that this check was like 19 dialogue options into a thing that you can't quick save in the middle of conversations. So I went for like an hour. I never succeeded on the thing, and I just was like, okay, I guess I'll, do it on another playthrough or whatever. I finished the game. It was fantastic. It like hit me in like a profound way. Like, wow, this was such an incredible story. I can't wait to play it again in 15 years, when I've forgotten all the details or whatever. And then I watched Jeffy's video, and he explains the story all the way up. And now, first of all, there's a tons of things that he explained that it's so funny. He explained a lot of things as if they like were the only way it could have happened.
Yeah.
And yet like none of those things happened, like completely different, like a fucking 10-on-3 shootout where like he had like 5 people that survived. I had 1 person that survived, like completely different series of events.
Yeah.
Because you have like, what was it? There was like 24 passive skills. Each one of them is like a personality that talks to you and interacts with itself.
Yeah.
And they're all passive checks happening all the time. So you walk by a thing, and if you have like a high perception, you'll get like a tingling kind of sensation. They'll be like, you feel uneasy, and you turn around and like something will happen. Whereas in my playthrough, I walked down the alley and nothing happened.
That's crazy.
But he explained what happens in that if you succeed that roll.
Okay.
And watching what unfolded there, it made it from one of my favorite games I've played. I would say top 15 for sure, maybe top 10. I don't know. It's too hard to place anything anymore. So I keep packing more things in. To having it be like, a pretty very meaningful experience to I was in tears last night. Like, I'm so actually sad I missed that, but he saved it for me because it's also fresh in my mind. It might as well have just been a part of my playthrough.
Yeah.
It's the craziest thing that changes that one scene that I missed. It takes this whole crazy thing that's like, wow, this is all wild, and packages it up in like this spike to the heart, wraps it up with a bow, and like
I gotta watch this video.
It's so good. It's so good. I do want to play one little excerpt from his video.
Oh, hell yeah.
It was initially a part of the playthrough that he like didn't believe. He thought someone was like lying when they explained it because it's so different. At one point you get to this is the very end of the game. The very end of the game. So it's just like I don't want to say it's like spoiler territory because like you don't really see any of or much of the story here. More so you see like some people in a place that will be meaningless to you if you never played the game. And and I'd be surprised if most people even hit this, but it just gives you a little bit of an idea for some of the vibe of the game that is so goddamn hilarious. Remember I talked about that unhinged kid?
Yes.
Kuno?
Yes.
So at the end of the game, right when you're about to like, the whole game's about like solving a murder basically, but it's not. But it is, but it's not. And at the end, you used to kind of go through and you like summarize the case, and you have this guy Kim Kitsuragi, who's another police officer from another precinct that like this whole time is like begrudgingly been like, God, this fucking crazy drunken idiot. Like, why am I working with this guy? And you can't not love Kim. He's like the best sidekick. He's super patient, but also like pretty funny. Now there's a way. Oh, and he'll kind of back you up and explain as like your partner from another thing, a summarization of what happened.
Okay.
There's a series of events that makes it so that he's not there with you.
Okay.
That you actually have a different partner.
Kuno.
But somewhere around here is when Kuno has had enough. And instead of Kim's rational speech defending your character, we get Kuno's slightly less refined thoughts on the matter.
Yo, I'm gonna stop you right there, fuckface. It's Kuno time. You've explained enough, pig. Kuno takes care of this shit now. First of all, yo, those guys were all the guys in the armor. The Union guys. So yeah, suck Kuno's dick. You don't know me. You don't know what happened here. You don't know this shit. Automatic fucking weapons. Urban battleground shit. Blood Meridian. You don't know this shit. Now, Kuno wasn't there. You getting this? Kuno was breaking it up with Kuno's main bitch, C. Parting of the way shit. But when Kuno got there, Pig had fucking cleaned up. Smoked all those dinky fuckers. Saved this shit. Martinet shit. I see he's mourning and shit. His main pig got semi-wasted. Kuno steps up. Kuno fucking fills those shoes. Big boy shoes. Detective Kuno.
Are you done?
Yo, Kuno feels like you weren't really listening to Kuno. You were hearing, but you weren't listening. Fucking the Armor Boys came to Martinez to fuck shit up. Hardy Boys or whatever the fuck they are. They were telling everyone and their mum how they wasted one of those armor fucks. It was always gonna go down like that. My pig stepped up, got
My
fucked
pig,
in the
that's me,
leg
by the
for
way.
it. Sacrifice style.
Yes, I understand. He was in the fight.
Second, you
The
dinky
music.
fucking asshole. This pig right here. This oink oink motherfucker sold that shit on Death Island. Case solved. Go home or fuck off.
The music
Go home or fuck off.
makes that so great. Holy, that kid is unhinged.
He's absolutely unhinged the whole time. He's just threatening you. Talks about himself in the first person. In the third person the entire
Jesus.
time. Oh god, it's the game is an absolute masterpiece. It's sad that there'll never be like a sequel, but that's a whole long story.
There won't ever be a sequel because of the context of the story, or
No,
Did the
no.
game
The
studio, like,
story,
dissolve
the
or
story,
something?
like set up the One Peg actually has a video on it. I haven't watched it yet. But he, Jeffy, it covers it a little bit. How the 10-second summary is that the original writers and kind of people who were sort of the kind of mastermind.
yeah,
They basically ended up, for better or worse, one reason or another. They might have been shitheads. They might have been douchebags. Whatever. They basically got pushed out of the company. Like some Mark Zuckerberg, they lost all their shares in the stock. They didn't own the IP anymore. They all got pushed out. So the guys who
Gotcha.
are the ones that basically. Now there's a big team. There's a lot of people, but one of the guys who was the original founders and started one of the backbones of writing this world, creating it, because that's the whole game. The whole game is this universe.
yeah,
It's the story, it's the vibe, it's the aesthetic, it's the art, it's all this
Yeah.
stuff. And basically, my understanding is that a bunch of those dudes all got pushed out, and now there's some corporate schmucks that own the IP, and
gotcha.
yeah, so
Which probably means there will be a second one, and it will be a shell of what it was. You know what I mean?
they announced it, and then they canceled it, and then they announced they were doing some other shit, and then they canceled it, and then they announced some other shit, and then I don't know. It's complicated,
Dang.
but
That is sad. And like you said, maybe they deserved it. Maybe they were terrible people. Who knows? But it's
I don't.
for the art form. It's sad because more games like that is more better. You know what I mean? So, damn. Well, that's crazy, man. That's cool.
Yeah. No, it's fantastic game. If you like kind of the detective crime RPG that is. It doesn't pull punches. It treats you like an adult.
Yeah.
As you could see, there's some language in there. There's some whatever, but it's
Holy.
but every character feels like a person. They feel
Yeah.
real. All their motivations, the things they do. Some of them are crazy. Some of them are unhinged. Some of them are sad. Some of them are.
Yeah.
There's just so much to the game, and I only experienced fucking 10% of it.
Yeah. Are you motivated to do another playthrough immediately, or are you just kind of sitting in it, especially seeing Jeffy's video, and you'll come back another time?
I'm gonna come back another time. I started a playthrough where I was gonna go full on degen, drug addict, alcoholic,
Yeah.
communist, racist, you know, absolutely crazy. you know, like I got it. I ended up shooting a kid, which ends up being an ending that like, because you can't just get away with that.
No.
Yeah. So I tried another playthrough, and it was just like one of those things where I didn't want to slog through.
Yeah.
There's so many things that are different, but also a lot of things that are just the
For
same
sure,
when
for
it's
sure.
in terms of like
The main
talking to
story
characters.
beats that get you from point A to point B. Yeah.
And I streaming it felt weird because not everybody was there for everything. So skipping over 90% of the dialogue just to go to the parts where things were different.
Yeah.
It was like, it just felt weird streaming it. And also like a lot of the things I wanted to do were like later game things
Yeah.
that I'm like, I don't know that I want to like.
Oh, for sure. Get through all of it again. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I'm going to come back and play it for sure and do a different. And I mean, because you could play, I had like 3 or 4 different archetypes I wanted to play, and I knew they were going to be totally different.
Yeah. That's wild.
Yeah.
What have you been playing after?
I've been messing around with a couple of puzzle games, a couple more puzzle games. There's one that I just started to play that is basically like, imagine The Witness meets crossword puzzle kind of word game esque things meets non-Euclidean geometry. Like you know, the MC Escher painting?
Yeah.
With like the staircase that just goes up.
Yeah.
This game it's basically you go about collecting letters, literally QWERTY, you know, on the keyboard, all the letters, and then you can use those letters to on these like little pillars. The pillars have words and like symbols, and the symbols mean certain things. One might mean synonym, one might mean it rhymes, whatever. And you have to use context clues, deductive reasoning, and the letters you have available to you to enter the right word in a world where, as you do that, more things open up, and you know, you go through a doorway and then turn around and like you go through a doorway, you're like in like a red room, and there's just a narrow doorway in a blue room, and you walk through into the blue room, you turn around, and there's a white room behind you, and it's like, oh, it just shit changes. You go through a hallway in like a circle, and it like infinitely goes until it turns into it's like $10, I think. It's called Lingo 2.
Like 2?
I didn't play.
Oh, okay.
I didn't play Lingo 1, but someone recommended me Lingo 2, so I started playing it. It's really good. Yeah, kind of similar to Antichamber vibes, the Witness vibes,
but like with Scrabble and non-Euclidean geometry.
Yeah. But
dang,
I don't know. I'm kind of a decent chunk of the way through. I feel like probably 80%. I'm actually not sure if I'm gonna finish it or not. Yeah, I don't know. It's fun to play.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm feeling something like a little more in depth, a little deeper again. Like, I don't know. Coming off of Disco Elysium,
yeah.
I might hop into Elden Ring and try my hand at that
Elysium
again.
and Detroit Become Human coming off of as far as story. Elden Ring, very interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I enough of a gamer. We'll have to see.
Oh man, damn, that's cool.
How's fucking Tarkov land been?
Yeah, I've been playing Tarkov. I actually played a little bit of DayZ last week with Hambino and Trey 24K and Markstrom. And so it was like, the squad was going. It was super funny. I'm so bad at RPing. They all have like cool names, like Ham is Paulie Walnuts, freaking Trey is Patrick Pateman.
What's Markstrom?
I don't remember what his name was. He had a good one too. But so like I'm not good at the RP. I ran into these guys and I told them my name was Jeremy. I don't know, it was the first thing I could come up with. And then like literally like 5 minutes later, they're like running around being like, Jeremy, do you need this? Jeremy. And it took me like 10 minutes to realize they were talking to me. And I was like, dude, I'm so bad at this. But it was really funny. Trey killed them all, naturally. But it was super fun. It was like this crazy Deadfall server where you have to like get a bunch of gas masks and then go through this dark tunnel, and then you end up in like another dimension, and then you're trying to do this thing, and there's like bloodsuckers from Stalker in there. It was like this crazy mishmash server. It was fun though. But we did that. That's been fun. I think we're doing more DayZ tomorrow actually. But other than that, mostly been playing just Tarkov, just trying to like find some fun, make some fun videos and stuff like that. Today I was like being tested on a spiritual level. It was just man, and it's crazy because some of the days in the past like 2 weeks, I've had like 2 days where I ended and I was like, that's the most fun I've had in Tarkov in a while. Like not like ever, but like in a while, like in a good while. Like I'm having good raids. When I die, it feels good. When I win, it feels good. Good vibes with chat. Like, and it's almost like, oh, like I'm back. Like this is feeling good. Today was not that day. It was the complete opposite. It was just the day where like my destiny had been predetermined, right? Like there were a few raids where I misplayed and I died, but by and large, it was just, I had no say in the matter, right? You know what I mean? Like It was like 2 separate times I was running around on streets and there was like a marble on the ground and you just like can't run over it and I'm completely stuck. Like just like smashing the spacebar button or shift W or whatever and you're standing still. Like you're right in the middle of a fight with a guy, so you die and you're like, okay, sick. Or like 2 different times on Shoreline where you round a corner and there's like a guy full sprinting at you and you never hurt him. There's just like no audio and then you die and you're like, oh, okay, I guess. You know what I mean? And then 3 raids where you just like are walking and you're clearing all your corners and then you just like fall over. And you're like, I guess there was a guy 600 meters away like that hit a nasty shot. And it was just like all day, I had no say in the matter. You know what I mean? Like, and it's like, you know that those days come, but it sucks. And it's one of those things where like every time you want to say like, oh, it's frustrating when I feel like I don't have a chance. I hear it when it comes out of my mouth. It sounds like just cope. You know, someone's like, well, you shouldn't have pushed that. You shouldn't have swung that corner or whatever. And it's like, I had a grenade. Someone threw a grenade at me that I swear to God had like the flubber residue on it. It was crazy. It was on factory. I peeked. I saw the grenade come at like a 45 degree around. So I turned. So I 180'd, shift W'd 3 feet. And then the grenade was. So I was facing one direction. I see it come at a 45 and it hits the ground. So it's coming at a downward trajectory. I 180. Take 3 steps. The grenade is now at an upward trajectory in front of me. So then I turn around again and just blow up. And I was like, what? It was crazy.
Dude, how do you not feel, you know what? It just occurred to me. I'm adding this to my like bullet point list of things about the video about how the fucking dead internet, like everything on the internet is to gaslight you. Like, how can you not feel like that isn't some fucking magnetic grenade cheat, right? How can you feel like when you're running, right, and you get hit with some fucking crazy long shot? Like, how often when you're 600 meters away, right? How often are you hitting that one shot on a guy?
Yeah,
in
no misses, just
yeah. And given the number of people that are playing now, you know, it's not like we're at the peak player counts. It's one of those things like you have to ask yourself.
You have to ask yourself.
Whether you're right or wrong, you have to ask yourself, like, what are the chances that I'm that unlucky
that many times in a row?
And maybe it's high, right? But the problem is that, like, you can't know.
No, 100%.
And it never feels good.
There's enough doubt that it doesn't feel good. Exactly. That, and I say that every time. I don't mind dying in a fight. I don't mind losing the gear. I don't mind smashing my fist on my desk and going, I shouldn't have pushed that. Like I love that. Like that is what I actually enjoy about Tarkov, because then it makes me feel like when I'm on and I'm crushing, like the past few days, chat has been like, bro, who are you? Like just smashing resort. When I'm winning, it's not because that doesn't feel good just because I'm winning. It feels good because I got smashed on the resort 1,000 times. Right? Like people don't realize I was so bad. This was the first PC game I ever played, and I streamed. I've played this game off stream maybe 20 hours, and I've played so it's all there. My history of like getting annihilated and getting smashed and overcoming that and learning. And from the fights that I played in the resort where I died because it was my fault, I tried my best every time to internalize, why did I die? What move did he make? And so when I'm on, like, it feels good because it is as a result of all the suck. So it's like, I really don't mind dying because it pushes me to be a better player. It's just like all that nonstop bullshit that seems so out of your control. It is hard. Like, there is enough doubt with like the way the cheaters are or the stream snipers or whatever. Like sometimes, because it really could just be an unlucky day. It could be that I'm getting targeted by cheaters. It could be that someone was following me around stream sniping me. It could be a combination of the three. It could be none of them and I just suck. But it's like, it's hard. There's just like just enough doubt in the whole thing. Like a big thing we've been talking about is like the loot. I told you like last week where like the game feels like one giant duffel bag. Nothing means anything. Well, like Friday or something, they did like a ghost patch where they increased the loot by 20%. And that was, they have this new thing. I don't know much about it, but it's like Tarkov.community. It was like made by one of the Sherpas, so it's not an officially hosted by BSG thing, but it's like a sanctioned by them thing. Like they retweeted it, and it's like basically like
saw that.
Yeah, it's basically Reddit, but like made for them. It's like you can create a post and it gets upvoted and whatever. And I was like, cool, whatever. But the devs like are responding to a lot. So like one of them was like, man, can we get a loot buff? This is crazy. And then like one of the devs was like, loot has been buffed on all maps. So we know that it wasn't like somebody data mined it. We think like one of the devs said it was buffed. And what we've been trying to figure out is like the next day, the first raid, I found a Bitcoin and I was like, ooh, I haven't found a Bitcoin in a couple weeks. Is the loot up? Who knows? Could have just gotten lucky. The next raid, I found 2 Bitcoin in one raid. And I was like, hey, maybe the loot's up, right? But then like today there was a raid where I looted the entire like West Wing. And I think in the like 6 keys I had, there were 2 things to pick up. Not 2 valuable things to pick up. 2 things to pick up. There was like an ES lamp and like a painkiller in the 6 rooms. And so the like skeptic rational part of me wants to be like, okay, well, let's talk about this. Did they buff 20% buff to the loot? Does that mean that because there's more than one thing there? There is, so this is a spawner of loot. There is, will it spawn loot? Yes or no? If yes, what will it spawn? Maybe they buffed by 20% the chance for it to spawn high tier loot. So sometimes they didn't buff the amount of times it spawns loot. So maybe I just got really lucky. But the other side of that is like last week, I was in a room while a vacuum cheater was looting a container. So then I don't know what to think. You know, am I like, did somebody just slurp the whole West Wing? Or is the loot not buffed, or is the loot buffed in a way different than I think it is? You know what I mean? It's like, it's just hard to, I just don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know anymore.
Bro, like the whole idea of not knowing and never feeling good. Like the thing that really started to grind my gears back in the day, was that overbearing sense of something feels weird.
Yes.
Now when you're off your game, that's a very distinct feeling where you're like, I am off.
Yep.
Like I don't feel, I feel clumsy.
Yep.
I don't
I'm
feel
flicking
good.
way too wide. I'm peeking way too wide. Like I feel it.
That's a totally different experience than when you are confident and you're on and you feel like dominated in a way that I liken it to, did you ever play baseball?
A little like T-ball, not, I haven't played in a long time.
I'm just like picturing, I used to play shortstop. And I'm picturing like someone fucking hits like a heater at you, you know, and you very quickly, very competently field it and throw it. And it's a great throw, right? Like you run, you grab it, and it's like if you execute, it's a done deal. And you go to throw, and by the time the ball's halfway there and you look up and you see the guy's already over the bag, and you're like, how did he
something there's like, about
there's like no universe where that has ever happened before, right? Like I didn't stumble, I didn't fumble the ball, I didn't throw off, like where it's that kind of
it's
feeling.
Like, did he teleport
where you're just
like,
oh, everything's going good. Whoa, what the fuck? I'm failing. Why?
That's
it's like that. And here's the thing. With baseball, you know, like, oh, that's, you know, Joey Ramirez. He's fucking giga fast. So that makes sense. Except everybody running to first is a complete random anonymous no one who you've never seen before, and you're wondering, like, are they on roids? Like, what the fuck? Like I've never seen anyone make it there like that before. I didn't even have a chance. You know, and there's no universe where when they hit it directly to shortstop, you field it and throw it quickly that you 99.99999% of the time they're out. And yet that guy just got on base 3 times like that. You know, it's like,
and today was a day where I wanted so bad, like the raid replays, because it wasn't like somebody teleported and I was like, oh, this raid replay is gonna be perfect for helping me to identify cheaters. It's just all day was what? Like, it was just, I said that 100 times today. You know what I mean? It was just like every death, it was like, what? It wasn't like, no way, bro. It was just so confusing. And so like all day, I just want to be like, where the hell was that guy? How did he see me? You know what I mean? Like, I just want to see that other perspective, because maybe like genuinely, it just, sometimes you have really unlucky days. Sometimes you have really lucky days. The other day I was playing with, I don't know who it was, but I didn't realize till the end of the stream I hadn't died. It was just like super solid raids. I hadn't died the whole stream. And I was like, oh, like, so sometimes you have the opposite. Like, I'm not saying that that's out of the question. I'm just saying that that emotion you described is exactly it. It's like, I feel good. I feel on. I don't feel like, how many raids in a row, I don't feel like I was given the opportunity to make a mistake. You know what I mean? It was just like, you're just dead. And so sometimes that's whatever. And like, some of it really is like, when you just get stuck on a paint can on the floor, that's like, you know what happened, and that doesn't make you feel any better, right? You're just like,
that's even worse. When you go to field the ball perfectly and it's covered in peanut butter and you're like, oh, what the fuck? To continue the baseball metaphor.
Exactly, though. Exactly. And you're just like, and then the team is mad at you. You know what I mean? Everybody's like, whiff, whiff, whiff. I'm like, bitch.
And you're like, look, the ball's covered in peanut butter, but the ball's gone. No one can lick the ball. No one can check the ball.
Exactly, dude. And so I was like losing my mind. And then you get the stuff where like I'm sure, like, in the moment I was not like rational. This was at the end of the day. I was not like, you know, there's probably a rational explanation for this. Now I'm cooled off. Like, I'm sure there was a reason. But then, like, you get the raids where the ballistic system, just like, you just get the brunt end of it. I was on Factory. I was trying to finish up a quest. I needed 2 more kills. I had an MP7 with FMJ, juiced ammo. I swing the corner and I light a dude up. He's shooting another person. So I'm shooting at his shoulder. He's looking a different direction. He goes, boink. I die. And we watch about, my hit count says 9 hit count, FMJ. He shot me once in the face with 9mm AP 6.3. And I was like, where's the aim punch? Where's the account looked fine, like could have been cheating, but the account didn't look sus. You know what I mean? I was just like, 9 hits. The 10th one, I guess, surely would have gotten him. I don't know what to do. You know what I mean? Like it.
And you know what probably happened? He probably was shooting at the guy, heard your footstep at the last moment, turned, one-tapped you and then got hit with a burst of bullets afterwards.
Yeah.
So that like there was 9 hits, but it was afterwards. So that's why he didn't have aim punch, and that's why like
probably
who the fuck knows, right? Like his calendar, it says March, right, and yours was still on February.
Yeah, probably 100%. But at the end of a rough day, you're just like, I'm gonna smash my monitor like it's crazy.
Yeah.
Now, I will say, like I said, those days are a bit fewer and far between. I would say most of my days recently have been pretty solid raids. Today specifically, I was kind of trying to do a challenge, and so I was bouncing around a lot. I played quite a bit of streets, and I played quite a bit of customs, which I haven't been playing those maps as much. And it really confirmed what I had said last week. Like, I felt 9,000 hours in the game. I've probably done 10,000 customs raids, and for 18 months I played basically nothing but streets. So I probably played like 5,000 streets raids. I felt brand new to the game. It's hard to explain. There's something about where we are in the wipe with people questing, the loot, the locked rooms and the loot spots being really poor, that like
anyone could be anywhere at any time.
I was like, chat, where do I go? As if I was just learning streets or customs. You know what I mean? It felt really weird. Like, I just felt like, because personally, my least favorite PvP is chasing shots, where you're just like doing that. Because I just feel like I hear a shot, I run over there, that guy killed a scav, now he's in a different spot. I hear a shot another direction, so then I chase that. He's gone because now he's looting the other thing. Now I hear a grenade back the way I came, so I run. Like, I just feel like I don't ever do anything. So I need something else to be doing, and then just get the PvP along the way. Because chasing shots, just like, I just feel like I never can like get to the fight. And I just, there's nothing to do. Like, there's just nothing to do on the maps. So I just feel super aimless. So I was like, oh man, it's weird.
I would assume that there's like a lot fewer people playing. Maybe not, but like, is like dead game, dead raids. It's kind of.
This is super weird. This is super weird. It's like, I would say most of my raids are either packed to the brim or seemingly empty, and very little in between. And I don't like. I don't know if it's because of the matchmaker. I don't know if it's because time of day. I don't know if it's because like sometimes you get people questing. But like there was a raid on customs, there was a raid on streets, and there were a couple raids on shoreline where like it would be like I fought 4 PMCs, I fought 3 PMCs, and then the raid would just come where I didn't see a single PMC the entire raid. And that's been happening really consistent. I'm playing a lot of shoreline. From like 9 a.m. to 11, it's like packed to the brim. From like 11 to 1, I might see 2 people in those 3 hours. And then from like 1 to 4, it's like kind of 50-50. And so sometimes people are like, are there that many people playing? And sometimes I'm like, dude, it feels like there's a ton of people. And then sometimes it feels like I'm all alone out there. So I don't know how to interpret that either. Now, obviously, sometimes you have raids where like people don't go to the resort, people, they go down there or whatever. So I'm not saying that the raids are dead, but I'm saying sometimes it's weird where I just like can't seem to find anybody. But yeah, so once again, I don't say that to say like Tarkov's, whatever. I had a really bad day today, but I've been having a lot of really good days and like vibing and having fun. But today was really just the test day. It was also super weird. Like, I don't know how the like boss spawning works, but like I ran into the goons 2 times in a row, and there were like 11 PMCs at the weather station each time. Like, it feels like people know. Like, I know there's the report thing. There's like the websites where people report where the goons are, but the goons don't, like, when the goons are on shoreline, they don't always spawn, right? Like, not every raid. It feels like every time they spawn, everyone on the map knows. Like, you know what I mean? It just feels like they know. There's also this like crazy, I don't want to call it a conspiracy because I'm not saying that these people are like crazy, but there's a theory. There's a theory going around that if the bosses spawn 30% of the time, like if 30% is their chance, there's a theory that what that means is that on 30% of the servers, the bosses are spawning 100% of the time. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Not that on 100% of the servers, the bosses are spawning 30% of the time. And there's some anecdotal evidence that seems to support it. I don't know enough about server architecture or anything like that, but there are a lot of people that have been in the community for a really long time that'll be like when me and my friends are hunting the goons, we all restart our games and select one server until we find them. And when we do, we will find them 4 or 5 raids in a row. And
Weird.
And I'm like, okay, that could be explainable as like you just got lucky and it really seemed like that server, but it's been popping around a lot. I've had a lot of people telling me about that. A lot of times when I run into a boss, I will run into them multiple times in a row. It seems like the longer that theory has been out there, the more I get the feeling that when a boss is spawning, everybody knows, which lends me to believe that it's like there's a group of people on this server that I just randomly got put on because I think I play auto, but they know because they've been doing this all day. Like, you know what I mean? It seems it's a theory, and I don't know enough about it, but
Interesting.
very weird. I will say though, we've gotten some cool quality of life things recently. All scavs, so I don't think like raiders or bosses or rogues, but all scavs, their head HP has been reduced to 30. So there used to be, of regular scavs, there used to be 3 levels of scavs, easy, medium, hard. And like medium scavs had like 45 head HP and hard ones had like 50 or 60. And you would never know which one was a hard or easy. You would just be like, I just shot that scav in the face and he didn't die. So they've normalized it to all scavs have 30 head HP now. So like, that's nice. The AI update seems to still be doing much better, and they updated it even further to have scavs see worse through bushes and foliage, which I feel like I've noticed. You remember the special slots where you'd put like your compass or your rangefinder? It was like the 3 spots that only took a few specific things.
Markers.
Yeah, the markers and stuff like that. They have added the ability to put flares in them, which is great because there's a green flare extract on streets and woods and customs now, where you shoot off a green flare and then you can leave. So us being able to put flares in the special slot means we can just like keep them on us all the time and not have to rebuy them. They added the ability to put paracord in that special slot for the maps that have the Red Rebel paracord extract, which was another huge W, quality of life thing.
Neat.
I think that's mostly it. So some quality of life things. Some quality of life things. So yeah, I don't know. They did a survey about the rain. They've been doing the surveys and then posting the results of the surveys, which have been interesting to read. One of the things that came from that survey on the scavs was, I think we talked about this a little bit, but they had just implemented it. Now, the first player scav won't spawn in until the raid has already been live for 17 minutes. Boy, does that make a difference.
That's got to be massive.
Dude, playing streets, it feels like a completely different map. It is actually crazy. I am so used to fighting player scavs 3 minutes into a raid. 3 minutes. That it feels like a completely different game. It feels like you can actually like move and shake and do stuff. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. But yeah, so we've got a little things. I don't know, man. It is what it is. It's I don't know. They've been doing the thing. They've been making the quality of life updates. The AI update was good. I hope that they just keep crushing. You know what I mean? I'm just making my own fun, trying to hang out with the community. You know what I mean? Having good vibes.
Yeah.
So.
Bro, real quick, I need like to like vent something that makes I'm going crazy.
Okay.
Like this video I'm working on, I have 60 pages right now.
Oh my
and that 60
God.
pages has been trying to write the first 90 seconds of this video. I'm not lying. I write 2 or 3 pages, and then like I get some other ideas, and like I put a little indent, like a little line, and I move stuff down, and I start typing out something I think is like different, and and then it just like and now, no joke, the beginning lines of what I have now, I don't know if this is what it's going to be or not, but I have no idea what the fuck is going on, and I don't know where to begin.
Is this for the video about the internet and people?
This is the video about the internet.
Yeah.
Okay. And
I love that intro.
dude, I went down like a black hole that I wasn't really intending to go down. So I was writing up a little bit of like commentary of one particular post. Okay. There was, and this whole thing, it's like politics adjacent, but the politics don't matter.
Okay.
None of the politics matter.
Yeah.
I'm not like making any political statements or whatever. This is mostly just talking about a phenomenon that exists, I'm sure, probably maybe independent of party, maybe not. I don't know. I can't know if the bubble I'm in is a bubble that's not representative of the thing, or if it's exactly representative.
Okay.
But so there was this post that, and I'll just pull up on screen just to give you an idea for what we're talking about, like visually here.
Okay.
This profile, this woman Kathleen, posted this thing that's, oh my God, Lord help, right?
Okay.
And what you're seeing, I'm not gonna like play what they're saying, but basically what the person up top is saying is effectively that they're sad that they, as now, everyone is gonna have a gut reaction. Just let me finish like 2 sentences.
Yeah. Just wait 30 seconds.
Everyone is gonna want to kill everyone. Okay.
But that's the fucking point.
So the person up top,
Okay.
was basically a trans woman.
Hold.
Saying that they are sad that they have been denied the rite of passage of having an abortion. That's a rite of passage into womanhood that they are sad they haven't had the opportunity to have.
Okay.
That's satire. That person is playing a character.
Okay.
That tweet has 550,000 views.
Yeah.
And there are like 4 fucking responses that are like, you guys know this is satire, right? Now, there's already like 19 layers of like, fuck, oh my God, fuck. Now, here's the thing. First of all, this person's picture, it looks like some AI generated cartoon shit.
Yeah.
Okay. The person who posted it, like, am I supposed to think? I don't know. Are you real? I don't know. I don't know, right? Who the fuck knows? Okay. So now they responded to a ton of people's comments.
Yeah.
I have concerns about the sustainability of our species. She responds, me too. I'm sorry, but what mirror was he looking in when he was applying his makeup thinking he was being feminine? She responds, SMH, covering my face.
Yeah.
What the fuck did I just watch? Insanity.
Mm-hmm.
Reproductive health and abortion are not the same thing. Nope. Simply, there are no words, slow head shake involved. Definitely. This is a parody named Hogatha Sisti or whatever. It always delights me to see his shared content. She goes, yeah, it's hilarious. Now suddenly she knows it's fake. Someone else commented, I can't tell if this is a joke or real. She says, me either.
Yeah.
I don't know where the post is, but then later on someone says, this is a parody. You know that, right? And she goes, yeah, I think so. So what we have is somebody just obviously and clearly acting like it's drama click farming, like to the most ridiculous degree, okay?
For sure.
And the fact that she's like going along with everyone being like, yeah, that's crazy, right? I know it's fake. Yeah, it's total insanity. This is definitely an actual problem, right? Yeah, it's totally fake. I love it.
Yeah.
And like nobody's questioning, nobody's like whatever. That's already like there's too many things involved, and I have 900 paragraphs about all the things, right? And then I start clicking on the profiles of all of these people
who are responding.
Now, I did a little experiment. And basically, what I did is I clicked on the profiles, I scrolled down, and I started reading posts before I looked at any of their bio or metrics.
Okay.
Any of their numbers, and I just started looking. Now, I'll start with the profiles. This was like overwhelmingly the pattern that I was seeing, okay? Profile number 1. And again, I'm going to be saying political words or terms. I'm not condemning anyone, anything, whatever. It's just...
Yeah. This is
regardless of your party, it's real or not real.
This is in service of a bigger idea.
Profile number 1. American First Conservative, American flag. Arizona native, child life advocate. No porn or DMs equals block, red X. Her DMs are off.
Mm-hmm.
But says no DMs, okay? 64,000, she's following 64,000 people, and she has 86,000 followers, and all she ever does is retweet things. Retweet, like, MAGA Republican stuff.
Yeah.
She never put... I'm a content creator.
Mm-hmm.
And it's taken me 7 years to get 35,000, and she doesn't make any content. She just tweets.
Yeah.
She just reposts incendiary, like political vomit.
Yeah.
Somehow almost has 100, like almost 3 times my followers.
Yeah.
But also is following 63,000 people, and she has 144,000 posts.
Jesus Christ. I mean, that's 100% gotta be.
Profile number 2.
A bot.
32,000 posts, following 5,000 people, has 4,000 followers.
Yeah. It's like people spin up accounts.
99% of their stuff is just retweeting stuff. Profile number 3. This one has 2,200 posts, 2,200 followers, 2,600 following.
Yeah.
It's just a weird, like, one-to-one correlation. Now she has a bunch of things where she's retweeting, but quote tweeting, so she's saying things. But the things are, must watch if you seek the truth. You go, girl. Help, oh Jesus. Must stop. Thank you, real Donald Trump, Elon Musk. Heroes for saving our people. Amazing work. 900 fucking exclamation points. 17 American flags. Praying hands.
Yeah.
And the rest of it is just retweets of shit. Oh, and her profile is advocate and mediator, attorney, believer and lover of him. Jeremiah 33. Red thing, no DMs. Wife, mom, heart emoji, American flag emoji, American flag emoji. The next profile, 2,000 followers, 1,600 following, 14,000 posts. Child of God, wife, mom, patriot, crazy cat, dog, chicken, goat, and pig lady. No DMs, with her DMs turned off. And everything she has is just retweets.
Yeah.
And they just go on and on and on. All of those, before I saw any of their metrics, I'm like, this person's acting like a bot.
Yeah. Yeah.
The ones I said, these seem legit. I scroll up and I see they've got 83,000 posts, 1,700 people they're following. They have 220,000 followers, and every one of their tweets has like multiple sentences of things that people that she's writing, that she's creating, pictures of her, full body, commentary, questions, like whatever. She's actually making content. Then the next person I see is 100,000 posts, following 12,000 people, but has 1.8 million followers. She's written books. There's a picture of her sitting next to Trump. She's a real, and all the things she's
posts.
But they're almost all of them. Now she makes a lot of content, but in her case, it's all just retweeting some other shit with one or two sentences, right?
Yeah.
And they just get so many impressions, okay? And the last one I'll say was one that I was like, okay, this seems like a human.
Okay.
I'm like, finally, I'm out of like the black hole of like, these people are like paid content creator, full-time, whatever. All these other people, they've got all the things that make them look real, but their behavior is so absurdly unreal.
Yeah.
Who has 100,000? Like, I'm a content creator, right? I have 7,000 posts. I've been doing this 7 years. 7,000 posts. I'm following 400 people, and I have 35,000 followers. And I retweet, like my retweet to tweet ratio is like, 1 out of every 4 or whatever. And almost always I'm providing commentary. I don't know. So either every and again, there might be a left-wing equivalent of this. I just don't know if it's not my algorithm, even though I'm sure to the algorithm, I'm a left-winger.
Yeah.
But yet all I see is right-wing craziness with right-wing craziness in response. And every profile I look at is either like a paid, political commentator, content creator, or a bunch of people who they don't make content. There's no commentary, but yet they somehow have tens of thousands of followers, tens of thousands of tweets, reposts, and tens of thousands of people they're following, which to me just seems like a scripted bot.
Yeah, I've heard of that, where companies or whatever will basically spin up a certain amount of bots that all kind of follow each other with some variance. So it's like the one that's
and I saw that. I was seeing in the replies other profiles I had open in other tabs.
Yeah. So like if somebody has 8,000 followers and they follow 6,000 people, then that company, whatever, probably has 6 to 10,000 bots, and there's just a little bit of variance to make it seem more real. But it's
people just have too much free time. No, and I literally, my video is going to be, I know you're going to want to say that's not real, or that's fake, or this is a bot, or they're a troll, or whatever. You don't know. You're wrong.
Yeah.
Stop acting like you know. You have no fucking idea. Trust me. The moment you look into this, you're going to question whether or not you live in a fucking simulation.
Yeah.
I swear to God, none of it makes any sense.
Yeah.
I do this full time.
Yeah.
I am a content creator full time, spending all of my time on all these different platforms and whenever. Now, I'm not as active as I could be on Twitter.
Of course.
But what stay-at-home mom
yes.
is like literally a 62-year-old woman who like MAGA lover of whatever is I need to run the numbers.
78 times a day.
I need to run the numbers.
I ran the numbers. I ran just one. I was like, the one that you said had 144 posts. I was like, that's retweeting 20 times a day for 7,200 days.
I mean, like, it's crazy. Now, the last one I'll talk about was a woman, okay? Padres season ticket holder since 1969. Her banner photo and profile picture looked like some fucking low-res JPEGs of like a mom.
Yeah.
2,700 posts. She's following 300 people. She has 300 followers. She's reposting a ton of, MAGA propaganda or whatever. But her comments are like, your information is incorrect. Please see this post that she links to.
Yeah.
God, so many. One is replying to somebody with a link. This website is doxing public figures that own Tesla. Okay, someone posted, a dumb bird just flew into our house. What do I do? LOL. Cover with a towel. A kitchen towel works well as long as it's dry, and then carry it outside. This is what waiters and waitresses do when birds fly into restaurants. That doesn't sound like a MAGA bot, okay?
Yeah. It's getting... this is the uncanny valley of social media bots.
I'm scrolling, and I'm like... But she was one of those people that was like, I can't believe that this is real when it's not real. And then I kept scrolling. And she replies to a thing about, all the stuff with Tesla getting set off. She replies with, as of the most recent estimates in 2025, Elon Musk's companies collectively employ approximately 171,000 people worldwide. And I scroll down and someone else says, my heart goes out to Tesla and the team. Elon Musk replied with a heart to that tweet. Someone else.
Yeah.
This woman replies to Elon Musk. As of the most recent estimates in 2025, Elon Musk's companies collectively employ approximately 171,000 people worldwide. Someone else posts a video when it's when you realize the media has lied to you, and it's like literally one of those like talking about billionaires, interviewing whatever. As of the most recent estimates in 2025, Elon Musk over and over and over and over again. And then I Googled that thing, and I found another account responding to a bunch of things with that exact same line. And I'm like, and it was one of those 80,000 follower, 80,000 following, blah, 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 blah. There were 3 responses in my Google search results for that line. The third one, it was one of those ones that, sometimes you can see it in like the preview of the Google result, but when you click on the link, you can't, it might be under the like show more fold I couldn't find it. But that profile, I was scrolling through and I was like, I can't figure out. I'm like, is this guy a right winger? Is he a left winger? He was like bashing everyone.
Yeah.
All of his things were like, he seemed like a right-leaning centrist.
Yeah.
But he was like shitting on MAGA Republicans. He was shitting on like liberals over here and about economics and whatever. And it was like, this guy seems completely fucking real.
Yeah.
And he, for the most part, I said right-leaning. I think he was more probably left-leaning.
Yeah. Maybe
fiscally conservative, but like social democrat. But it was just weird in that I spent like 4 hours.
Yeah.
Down this rabbit hole. And I wasn't like, I was clicking on every profile, looking at every profile. Yeah. And they were all crazy, just looked like propaganda reposters.
Yeah.
And the one I found that I'm certain is a human is the one that was centrist left-leaning.
Yeah. It really,
I don't know what to believe.
Feels like the uncanny valley, like of bots now, because it used to be, it was like your parents falling for like the crazy stuff on Facebook, the like, like
I am Denzel Washington, down on my luck. Please send me $10,000.
Exactly, or like the 6-fingered AI image of Jesus that has Donald Trump's face, and it's like, oh my God, this is a sign. Like it used to be like so easy to spot, and Now it's hard. It's like you said, you'll scroll and then you'll be like, oh, a bird flew in your house. Like I saw a waitress do this once. And it's like, that isn't in any like bot's script. Like that's crazy. Like an innocuous response to a random tweet. So it's like, it is insane.
Except with Chat GPT.
Yes.
Imagine
anything
saying,
is possible. Yeah.
Imagine saying, Chat GPT, pretend like you are a semi-internet savvy 65-year-old conservative woman.
Yeah.
I am tasking you to and you can do this. I have a program that is a locally hosted, like basically Chat GPT, except it's a program where you can install an infinite number of LLMs and have it's all local, and you can do whatever you want. You can turn off whatever you want. So you can just say, I want you to automate every 7 minutes.
Yeah.
I want you to find a political post.
Yeah.
Scroll through whatever, and I want you to respond in a way that's short, that's, but believable, that's real, in a way that would be divisive and whatever. And then you just hit fucking go on the script, and it'll just, and what you end up with is a bunch of real-ish stuff, and then all of a sudden, copy paste the thing, and it's like, and maybe she just copy pasted it.
Yeah.
But like, why would she give it? Why would she send that to Elon Musk? So I can rationalize why she might have done the thing, except it still doesn't make sense in some context, because that wasn't even talking about Elon Musk or Tesla. So why would she be doing that? That seems like the bot just glitched out. And
dude, have you seen who Casually Explained is on YouTube? Did you see the video he did, the political compass?
I retweeted it and was like, I believe this is what the kids call cinema.
Dude, it's so good. I watched it today. The political tesseract is it's so good. It's so good. Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh no, go ahead.
No, I mean, I literally was just gonna be like, I have no idea what anything is anymore.
That just reminded me. One last thing and then I'm done. I promise. I'm sorry I do this all the time. Just one last thing, man. You hang up. No, you hang up. Back to Disco Elysium.
Okay. Whoa. Okay.
I know. This you said the Tesseract. It just reminded me. Just to give you an idea for how this game, I'm just going to give you a little idea for how this game might not be what you think.
Okay.
There was a shipping container. Okay. I moved at the beginning of the game. I didn't have a crowbar. I didn't have like the strength to open up this shipping container. But I was using my rhetoric ability. It was a skill check that was convince the door to open. And I kept being like, please open. And Kim was like, you can't just talk to the door. Like, it's not going to open. And I kept failing and kept failing. Eventually, I'm like, hey, can you please open whatever? And Kim's like, are you fucking? And all of a sudden, so first of all, I opened the door with rhetoric, which is already just like genius. Okay. And he's like, what the fuck? That also reminds me of another time where I was like, I'm going to teleport. This ladder's broken. I'm getting off on another tangent. I'm like, this ladder's broken. I'm going to teleport up to this roof. He's like, that literally breaks all the laws of physics. Like, you're like, I think I can do it. I totally think I can do it. And I'm like, high or whatever. Yeah. And you're like, you close your eyes and all of a sudden you hear like, and you're on the fucking roof. And you like, your one line of dialogue is, oh my God, Kim, I fucking did it. I teleported. And one guy like another guy who's an onlooker response with like, holy shit, he did it. And Kim's like, you literally climbed up the ladder. Like, you closed your eyes and climbed up the ladder. And it's like, oh, fuck. But anyway.
So you opened the door with rhetoric.
You had to be there, I guess. Yeah. You walk into the shipping container. And imagine the scene from Interstellar with a black hole. This is how the game canonically represented capitalism. I'm standing next to one of the richest men on earth, First of all, my money amount went from like 38 real to like 38 trillion real just by being near him. The closer I got, the number was like, brr, brr. He had amassed so much wealth that it created a singularity and was bending the light around him because of how much absurd wealth he had accumulated. You couldn't even see the guy. It was in the middle of a rectangular little box where he was a black hole.
Oh my God.
And you're talking to this guy and he's like, hello, yes, I'm extremely rich. And you ask him for money and he like, and then the whole time he's talking about how like you have to work for all this stuff, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, how did you get all the money? And he's like, truth be told, I inherited it, most of it. But like once, you know, if you have like millions and millions of dollars, like it's really easy to just make more off like interest. Like it's not even really hard, but you have to work for it. And he like gives you like $100 fucking dollars. And
oh my God.
so like, that's a little hint of like where this game can go.
Yeah. Holy. The mass of my wealth collapsed in on itself and created a black hole.
That was the first time I was like, maybe some of the things that he's saying and experiencing when he like feels these like instincts, some of them are like fucking absurd until one of them like ends up being like true. And then you're like, was that a coincidence or not?
That's wild. What a wild game.
Yeah, so everybody go play Disco Elysium and stay off Twitter.
Yeah, TLDR. Yeah, stay off Twitter. Disco Elysium is a better use of your time. Holy. Woo! Well, damn.
Severance is in 4 minutes.
Oh my God. It is the season finale. Oh my God. I heard it was longer. I hope it is. Oh my God, we need it. Well, that is the stuff. Thank you guys for hanging. What a wild ride of an episode. I feel like we went through so many emotions. I love it. But thank you guys for being here. Thank you for enjoying the content. If you want even more content like this, you can go to patreon.com/thepodcastpod. We didn't do an extra episode this week. That is my bad. I had something going basically all week, all morning, which
Typical
was
Jesse.
Typical Jesse. So I apologize, but we normally do an extra episode a week over there for the patrons, which is awesome. So go check that out. Thank you again to MeUndies for sponsoring this episode. You're handsome and beautiful, and thank you for being here. And we'll definitely see you all on the next one.
Stay off Twitter.